Hey everybody, hey. Okay, so I'm just trying my luck with my network because of late it has been acting up funny again. Now, this video is about Operation Dudula versus uh, foreign shop owners in Orange Grove. Now, this story is coming from a website by Nigerians in South Africa. Over the past week, there's been some tensions between Operation Dudula versus foreign shop owners in Orange Grove. Operation Dudula has been issuing some eviction letters to shop owners, okay, saying that they need to leave to pave way for locals to take over those shops. So there's been some tensions there to the point that they had to find intervention. So what they did is they had to ask the police, the Norwood police, to coordinate a meeting between Operation Dudula and these foreigners so that they could discuss. So at that meeting, they said that they resolved that Operation Dudula was going to stop issuing illegal evictions to foreign shop owners. Okay. In return, foreign shop owners were going to withdraw the cases that they had reported to the police. It's also said that about 35 shops and about maybe more than 14, shopkeepers had reported cases of assault to the police against some members of Operation Dudula. Okay, so they say that if you want us to withdraw this case, you also need to stop issuing, eviction letters. So because of that tension that has been going on, we then also, especially members from the Nigerian side, going to consult with their Nigerian Consular, offices, who advised them that they should just, work together to resolve the issues, and they brought the two parties together, to talk about it. So I'm going to share with you a short video, okay, and then we're going to continue. All right. Okay. So this is the video I'm going to share with you.
Is the opportunity to conduct a proper investigation and will come up with the reports. If it's arson, we insist that the culprit should be sought out and appropriately dealt with in accordance with South African law. If it's accident, fire can happen anytime, anywhere. The report will tell us, and then we'll start thinking of compensation. We start thinking of how to support the victims to pick up life all over. Isn't it? So I plead with you, I urge you, exercise restraint, please. Let's not take any law into our hands. That's not the solution to the problem, no matter what laws we've gone through. Exercise restraint. Let the law of the land take its course. We should give them the opportunity to investigate and come up with a report about what happened. Yes, there are rumors flying around. Please, rumors are not evidence. Please. If there's anything you think specially, if you're a witness to what happened, you saw, come to the consulate and inform us. But let's not get bogged down with rumor. No. Evidence is what the state will be asking you to provide to assist the investigation. Give the state the opportunity to conduct.
Okay, so this was the Nigerian consular, talking to the members of the Orange Grove, shops committee that was formed, right? Now, Operation Dudula, now they say that, well, they are not going to apologize. Okay, the Secretary General Zandile, okay, said their organization was never going to apologize to any foreigners. Okay, so the foreigners should forget about any apology, right? So also some members of this group, the Orange Grove Committee, say that, after speaking to their consular, they say they were advised that anyone who has had any problems with Operation Dudula members, they should go and report the cases to the police so that these issues can be dealt with the police. So we also heard that a number of foreign shop owners had reported their cases to the police, and they were saying that, they want to be, if they continue to have those problems and they're losing their property or they are looted on anything, they need to report and they will be compensated for any loss that they encounter. But of course, Operation Dudula is saying we are not going to offer an apology. Remember, this committee that was formed, they were saying that they were asking Operation Dudula members to come out and apologize okay, and apologize for the intimidation and for all those evictions that they've been doing in the Orange Grove area. But Operation Dudula, they're saying no one is going to apologize. So we're just going to be following in this on the story to see how it's going to unfold. But this is the latest development. The meeting was held on Friday. Okay, the meeting was held on Friday, and this is when they went to meet their consular. Okay, this one is from Nigeria. All right, so this is all I have for you right now. Okay, I decided to make it a live video because I didn't have the time to to shoot a video separately, so I just decided to make it live like this. And for some reason, seems like our what to call it, our network is working perfectly here. So this is all I have for you, my friends. Is what? Let me see. Operation Dudula versus foreign shop owners in Orange Grove. Foreign shop owners, they're saying, we want an apology from Operation Dudula for the intimidation and the evictions and everything. But during the meeting that was held between the Operation Dudula and these shop owners here, the foreign shop owners, they say that the Dudula people agreed to stop the evictions. Okay, they said the Operation Dudula people agreed that they were going to stop evicting foreign nationals. In return, these foreign shop owners were also going to withdraw their cases from the courts. I don't know how this thing is going to play, but we're just going to be following on it. Okay. So I don't know. Let me just read this comment. They don't have papers. How are they going to go to the police station? If they hit South Africans, jail is waiting for them. And in jail, it's not nice for foreigners. Yeah, it's like that. But these shop owners who have been complaining are saying they have got their documents in order. They are renting their shops correctly. So that is why they're saying they're going to report, because they're saying they have proper documents to run their shops. Whether they are authentic or not is another thing I don't know. But that's how it is, okay? This is how it is. And there's been a lot of tension going on, okay? There's been a lot of tension going on around that story, all right? But yeah, since Operation Dudula has refused to apologize, they made it very, very open that they were not going to apologize to nobody. And apologizing, was one of the demands that was made by the foreigners, that you need to apologize for the intimidation, for the inconveniences, for the disturbances that you have been causing our businesses. Yeah, but they will have documents. They'll come and produce documents. If you say bring documents, they'll say, okay, these are the documents that we need. Yes, but we just hope that they're going to resolve their issues. Okay, they're going to resolve the issues. We know that the Operation Dudula, they don't usually just back off like that. Okay, they don't back off like that. And also, the consular official was saying you shouldn't follow too much of social media, news or rumors. They say don't follow social media rumors because they always create some things or add some things. Okay, so they're just encouraging foreigners that if you see that you have been harassed or your shop has been looted or anything, just go and report to the police. Simple like that. Okay. Anyway, guys, so thank you. I'm so happy. My network is behaving very, very well, and I'm happy I was able to finish my video without any problems. I'm so excited. I was really, really worried about it, okay? I was worried about this whole situation. And also, I think I forgot, I don't know, my phone is a little bit far from me. There is a meeting that is going to be held, or it's sort of a forum that is going to be held where it's hosting, I think, Nigerians again, where they're talking about effects of Operation Dudula on Nigerians or foreigners in general, but they were particularly talking about Nigerians. I think that forum is there, should be today, or I'm forgetting. Let me look for my phone. My phone is far, but I wanted to listen to that discussion that they're going to be having. It's a forum that they're going to be talking about the effects of Operation Dudula on Nigerians and shop owners. Okay, so I'll check the dates. Maybe I'm hoping that the what do you call it? The meeting is not yet finished. Okay, because I really want to listen to hear what they want to say. I know, guys, it's afternoon. Let me see. Oh, it's already 7 there. It's already what? Let me see. 2 minutes to. Oh, it's already PM. I'm sorry. I wanted to leave early because I was thinking like you guys are afternoon. Oh, then it's cool. It's really cool. No, you are going to watch the video late when I finish, okay? Then you're going to listen to that small video of the Nigerian Consular where they were talking about these issues, okay? It's all about foreigners, foreigners. I'm not encouraging South Africans to take advantage of foreigners, but foreigners, they take advantage of our kindness. They are too entitled. Entitlement. They come in front with their papers. Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem. So let's see how it's going to be since they've now, consulted with consular offices. So we don't know how it's going to now it's going to be. Okay. So I need to remove this from the stream, okay? Install stop sharing. Okay, I have stopped sharing this thing, eh? Let me see. And again, these stories, they always like come like this, like this, like this. On the other hand, you have the Helen Suzman, you know, in the home affairs. On the other hand, you have shop owners, all this kind of stuff. Guys, did you hear about that truck in America that had about 50, more than 50 people who were dead in a truck? They were, being smuggled into America. I was like, so sad. More than 50 people dead in a truck, you know, um, illegal immigrants. Imagine the driver just parked the car and left the truck and left. I think they had already seen that there was a problem. And they say those people died because of a heat. They said the truck was closed, no air, no nothing. So the heat was too much. And they died. So when the patrol people came in and opened the truck, they found dead people, and they said the few who were still alive, they are on critical condition. And the sad part is, they said the truck was full of women and children. Okay, I think some of you have already seen this story. It's the one that is trending in America right now. They say this is the highest number of casualties of immigrants, of illegal immigrants, okay, in America. 50, more than 50 people dead in a truck. And the truck drivers just dumped the truck and disappeared, but they've been arrested, okay? The truck driver has been arrested. And also, this is after watching that video, I then came across another one that was shared by the South African Police Service of some foreigners from which country? I think should be Pakistan or something. Also, and they were asking like, how did they come into South Africa, and if they passed it through OR Tambo, if they passed it through OR Tambo airport, how did they cross? So they were saying that, they were looking at investigating OR Tambo, saying maybe there's a syndicate there that is assisting, the people to come in. When they get in, then they are issued with documents when they are already in. So I saw that video. It was shared by the South African Police Service, okay? And they say they smuggled the people into there. And I was like, wow, this is really crazy, guys. Very, very crazy. I was like, wow. Yeah, kunzima, ne? Kunzima, kunzima, kunzima. Oh my God. I wish I had organized this live stream on time. We're going to have an engagement, but it's something that just came, like that. When I was just doing my videos, then I came across the story, and then I just decided to share it. Okay. Someone came into the studio and left. Where are you? I saw someone who joined the stream, and now I can't see them. Where are you? Where are you? Anyone who wants to join the stream before I leave? Anyone who wanna join the stream before I leave? Leave. Anyone? Oh, you are back. Okay, let me just try to add you. Hey, 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 Josie. Hello. Hello, Josie. Oh, sorry, your mic is muted. Okay, hello. Hello, Josie. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. Okay, go ahead. What?
Can you
Okay,
hear
go.
me?
Yes, 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 yes.
No, I was just greeting you. Look, I think people need to understand is that South Africa is just going through its own problems, and right now we can't deal with a lot of the people that are coming into our society. So it's tough times for us, even for us as well. So that's why we want to encourage other people to know to go back to their countries right now because we can't deal with it. We have a lot of issues on hand, and unfortunately, some foreign nationals are trying to take advantage of the situation where, how do I put this? They're literally trying to use the system against South Africans. There was a foreign national who's a member of a party in his own country who said some things that many South Africans didn't see in a good light. He said something about the Home Affairs minister must resign, which for many South Africans, including myself, that's disrespectful. So for me right now, the Nigerian representative, all these people, they need to understand is that they're in a foreign land. They can't disrespect the locals. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's not up to the foreigners. It's not up to us to tell South Africans to fire their minister. I think it's not up to us to say that. Wow. Yeah, but people always say a lot of things, especially when, their interests are sort of, at stake. They'll say anything, you know. It's always like that. People when they feel like their interests are at stake, or some their whatever, they they tend to be like that. They tend to say a lot of things. Like I told you, I don't know if you watched the previous video that I shared. I was on Twitter, and I was following the what do you call it, the head of public diplomacy, and I was following. A lot of things have been said down on that chat, on that Twitter stream. A lot of things were said. Sometimes even when you're a foreigner, you would think like, I think this is too extra. Maybe this is too much. In as much as people really want to have their issues, looked at, but some of the things you'll be like, the discussion itself, is it's a cause for concern. It's a cause for. Hey, Zupta. it's a cause for concern, but yeah, I can understand, but I don't know. But you see now, especially in Orange Grove, Operation Dudula is saying they are not going to apologize to nobody. The foreigners are saying they need to apologize. Okay. I don't know how you see that. I think we can.
Like, okay, like I didn't hear what you were saying earlier. Like, what do they want them to apologize for?
There have been some problems where they were talking about evictions. Members of Operation Dudula in Orange Grove have been issuing evictions to foreign shop owners, telling them that they should leave, giving them, deadlines and so forth. And so, there was a problem, there was a tension, and the police had to intervene and coordinate a meeting between Operation Dudula members in Orange Grove and the foreign shop owners in Orange Grove so that they can come together and talk about it. So during that meeting, they agreed. It said that they agreed that Operation Dudula was going to stop evicting these shop owners or giving them eviction letters. In turn, foreign shop owners who had reported their cases to the police will withdraw the cases from the police. And also another thing was that Operation Dudula members had to apologize to the foreign shop owners for all these disturbances that the inconveniences that they had caused. But Operation Dudula is saying no, we are not going to apologize.
I'm not sure about this whole eviction notices thing. The whole eviction notices thing is a very difficult thing because technically, legally, I'm not sure if they can, but I don't think it's wrong for them to ask illegal immigrants to leave. It's not an illegal thing. Like, I know some people don't like hearing that, but it's not an illegal thing. Should they apologize? No. I also don't think they should apologize. I'm not sure. Look,
About the law around it,
I just don't see why they should apologize. I don't know. Maybe you have a different perspective. Educate.
I think I'm also thinking like maybe the issue of
The law around it.
apologizing.
Well, the law around it is different because
I'm just thinking that maybe the issue of apologizing is just a way of reconciliation. I don't know. I'm not
reconciliation.
sure.
What are they reconciling on?
I mean, like since there've been some big tension between the two communities, okay, they say there've been some tensions over the past weeks in that area, to the extent that the police, that to coordinate a meeting of these two parties, the representative of the foreign shop owners there and the Operation Dudula members, they had to meet and discuss the way forward. Anyway, thank you guys.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
lost.
Hmm? Josie, you say? I can't hear you, Josie. Okay, Malema, hey. Malema, you are welcome. Network, I don't know. I can't hear you. Malema, your mic is muted. Malema, your mic is muted. Please unmute. Problems. There is a problem.
Hello.
Okay, hello, Josie.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, look. I think For reconciliation, look, in all honesty, right now, personally for me, anyone that's illegally in South Africa must go. If you own an illegal business in South Africa, you must go. There's just no two ways about it. I know some people don't like hearing it, but for me, that's just how things are, and that's just how things must be. It offends a lot of people, but for me, that's just how things should be. So, was it right for them to issue eviction notices? Well, it depends. Are those businesses and those buildings that they're in and operating in, are they there legally or illegally? That's something you need to take into consideration. If they're there operating those businesses on illegal premises and on in hijacked buildings, then hey man, they have a right to issue those eviction notices. But even if there isn't, how do I put it, even if it's not, well, I don't like the idea of them issuing just random eviction notices. But I don't think they have to apologize. I mean, like a lot of the people that are there in Orange Grove are there illegally. That's just a fact. Yeah.
So, in other words, if, for example, if they are legally there with their documents, with their business licenses, so the Operation Dudula doesn't really have, the authority to evict them.
Look, they might not have the authority, but they have a right to voice their opinions as concerned citizens. They have a right to organize themselves
Yeah,
legally.
you're right.
That is organize themselves and like ask for them to be deported or to close their businesses down. But the reality is this: that legally in South Africa, it's very difficult for a foreign national to open a business, a small business. That's just a fact. Because you have to have a lot of money to actually be an investor in this country. So that's why.
Okay. So you mean like if
Yeah.
those are like those tuck shops or those small supermarkets, those side
Hold on, I'm
shops,
coming.
they're not meant for foreigners.
Hold on, I'm coming. Hold on.
I mean, like legally.
Hold on. Let me. Hold on. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay, okay, okay. If I'm gone, I will see you next time. Okay, I'm going to remove you from the stream. Hey, Malema. Hello, hello, Mr. Malema. Unmute your mic, Mr. Malema. Ms. Malema, please unmute your mic. Malema, please unmute. Unmute, 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 please. I think he can't hear me. I don't know what's going on there. He cannot hear me. Ms. Malema, are you there? Maybe the load shedding is is causing havoc. Nobody is here. Okay, well, he has dropped. He has dropped. For those of you who are joining, we were talking about the meeting that was held on Friday between the Operation Dudula and the Orange Grove Foreign Shop Committee, okay, and also the involvement of the Nigerian Consulate, okay, where they were talking about the the misunderstandings that are happening in Orange Grove, where the Operation Dudula people are issuing eviction letters to shop owners, asking them to close their shops. And they're saying, issues to do with intimidation, disturbances, and everything. With more than this, they're reporting that maybe about 35 shops, shop owners, have reported to the police. They've opened cases against some Operation Dudula members. They have opened those cases to the police, and so the two parties were put together to talk about their differences and what was happening. And it is also said that the Operation Dudula agreed that they were going to stop issuing eviction letters. In turn, the the shop owners, foreign shop owners, were going to withdraw their cases from the police. Also on condition that also the Operation Dudula apologizes for all these inconveniences, of which Operation Dudula, via the Secretary General, said no apology. We are not going to apologize to any foreigners. So we see what is going to happen. But there we heard the Nigerian Consular official saying that they should, if they've got any problems, they should just go and report to the police. They shouldn't put matters into their own hands. They shouldn't, involve confrontation. They should report to the police if they are disturbed on their business premises. So this is all I have for you. And thank you so much for today. I will talk to you again when I come back with some more stories. Oh, by the way, I have a brother, a friend of mine. He's a South African. We talk on Facebook. They posted something very disturbing. They were asking for help. They said, if we know anyone who is able to offer them mental health counseling, they will appreciate it, because he said he was having some mental health issues, a lot of problems. He said he has been trying to do some bad things on himself lately. So he was asking for help, saying if there are anyone who can help him, or who can talk to him, or who offers counseling. He needs counseling because he's thinking some bad thoughts every day, so he was asking for help. He left his phone number and everything. So if anyone can assist or knows people who can assist him or who can talk to him, sometimes we don't need to ignore such kind of things, because people really be going through some situations. And for you to see a man coming out to say, hey, I'm having some mental issues, I'm facing ABCD, I'm in a dark space, they really also need some help. So yeah, if anyone knows anybody who might help, you can just write in the what do you call it? You can just contact me, and then I'll give you the details of that person. Hey, Mr. Malema. I don't know what is happening to Mr. Malema. The mic is off. His mic is off. Mr. Malema, unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. Oh my God. Unmute your mic. Oh, okay. Please go ahead. No volume at all. Anyway, I can't hear him, the guys, so I don't want to waste your time, because I can't hear what Mr. Malema is saying. I don't know if it's his network, his mouthpiece, or I don't know if it's my problem. Still, I don't know. Anyway, guys, if anyone knows.
Hello, Ziki. How are you?
Finally.
How are you, Ziki?
I'm good. How are you?
Ziki, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the network is bad because we have got load shedding this side. Ziki, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear.
Can you hear me, Ziki? Hello?
I can hear you.
This network. Hello?
I can hear you.
I just don't see why they should apologize. I don't know. Maybe you have a different perspective, basically.
I think I'm also thinking like maybe the issue of
The law around it. Well, the law around it is different because
Malem, I think you need to.
maybe
The issue of apologizing is just a way of reconciliation. I don't know. Malema, are you hearing me, Mr. Malema?
reconciliation. What are they reconciling on?
I mean, like, big tension.
Okay. Hey, Peshi. Hello, Peshi.
Hi, Ziki.
Hey, long time. How are you doing?
I'm great, and you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You are loud and clear.
Thank you. You know what has happened there? It's still an issue that needs to be investigated because the shop owners there, when they were given the letters to say if you are not renting the shop legally, because most of the Nigerians, you must remember, I think it was early this year, most of them were arrested because they like to hijack buildings and shops and they don't pay rent, or either they immediately when they see the owner of the shop moving out, they will hijack that shop and end up renting it to somebody else. So what has happened in Orange Grove, after they have issued those letters, they started saying, oh no, these people are threatening us. Operation Dudula is threatening us. And Operation Dudula, wherever they are with the police. And secondly, when the banning took place, what did they say? They said, no, Operation Dudula is the one that has banned our shops. And all to find out that one of them left the stove on until it burns everything out. Actually, they are the ones who are supposed to apologize for accusing the Operation Dudula for burning their stores, which they didn't. Now, they are having a fear because, believe you me, they are not sure where they are standing, whether they can continue operating their shop. So now they want to paint as if Operation Dudula has done them wrong. So why would I apologize if I issue a notice to say if you are not in good standing, vacate? What am I going to apologize for? Do you understand? It doesn't make sense at all.
I do. So, I
So
don't know.
that's what
Let's
is
see.
happening at the moment there. And most of them, I echo with the lady that has dropped a message saying that no, they are not gonna go there because they are scared. They know. They can say we are having document, but we are talking about Nigerians here. What is legit to them? We are aware. What was it? I think it was one of the big channels here in South Africa where they do the private investigation. They have managed to capture one of the Nigerian that normally let the people defraud the banks by issuing them with the letter of employment. They have even sort of a call center where you will call and thinking the person is working, and it's the same shop, and they will answer the call as if it's one of the
I
employers.
saw it. Yeah, I saw
Yes.
that one. Yeah,
So
I saw the
they think they are
documentary.
wiser, and Operation Dudula is up front of their game. So they were even claiming the 1,000 rands of their businesses that they are losing. It's their mess. They're the one that have blundered. So they needed somebody to take a blame. But after investigation, they found out that no, nobody has banned here. You guys, here's the stove, it's still on. It's the one that has caused all the mess.
Oh,
So
yeah, all the
actually, they
time.
need to apologize. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
No, it's understandable because
when you're saying that, people are saying you need to apologize for whatever you did to us, the inconvenience and everything, and also the cases that have been reported to the police, and giving conditions that unless you apologize on this, you have to apologize, and we are going to withdraw the cases.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
that
it
that is,
is what
that
it is,
becomes the
man.
issue.
Hey, you
Those tuck shops or those small
Mm.
supermarkets.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate like that, but I hope the resolution is going to be found soon.
You know, at the moment, Ziki, it's a bone of contention here in South Africa. That's why I'm even advising the people that I know that if you know that you are not in good standing, come January, it's going down here in South Africa. So you better just leave. Don't die for something, because South Africans, when they will start their fight, it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess, because when the blood starts spilling, and then you need to make sure that if you are not involved, and then let me not get, but it's gonna be difficult for anybody on the ground, because what it's brewing at the moment, if people will try to resist and do all those things. Right now, I was just chatting with another lady, Tapiwa, who is close to my house manager, and then she was like, no, I'm thinking that after this case, when it goes to court, we'll have a chance. And I'm like, listen, um on the critical skills, you don't fall anywhere. Apply for the visa that will allow you to be here in South Africa. Since you say there is no visa that will qualify you, just take your things and go home. Because right now they come with these things. Oh no, we haven't. I say no, but you guys, my house manager, like, come this weekend on Thursday or on Friday, and then she's going home because it's month end. She'll come back on Monday. It's understandable. But now, if they are gonna come with the lies that no, we haven't been home for 10 years, why didn't you go home? Everybody knows that when it's, especially when it's December holidays, the buses that are going home, they make a long queue. So why, now they are coming with the lies? And I'm like, it's there's no need. You can lie with whoever you want to lie to, or the Department of Home Affairs, but with the people on the ground, they are not gonna understand that nonsense. So with us here at the suburbs, it's better, because it's not like in the township. In the
Yeah,
township,
it's true.
it's raw. It's raw. Here, at least if your house manager is staying with you, at least you know that they are safe. But those that who comes in our area and go back wherever they are staying, they are in danger. I'm advising them that don't take chance with your life. For what? Why should you gamble with your life? If the
Quite
others, they
interesting.
can't even see. South Africa, as we're speaking right now, earlier on, we were on load shedding stage 6. So your electricity will be gone for 2 hours. After another 6 hours, your electricity is gone again for 2 hours. And people in the township, they take it for days. And then if
Yeah, it's
people
true.
cannot see the signs of the danger, and in South Africa, the people, the masses on the ground, believe you me, when they want something, it's not like the other countries. They take it to the streets. And where will they be? Will they be locking themselves inside their house? You see the danger that they are putting themselves for what?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
It's true. But after the statement that was issued by Home Affairs in response to Helen Suzman, okay, I saw that some people, I went to Twitter, some people were saying, well, the Home Affairs should just go to the courts. Okay, they just need to go to the courts. But because in that statement they were saying, going to the courts is the waste of South African resources, there's no need for that. And then we saw again people saying, well, they just need to go to the courts, meaning that maybe people are saying maybe if it goes to the courts, it might produce a different outcome.
Yeah, but what different outcome? Because you must remember the Helen Suzman, the NGO, it's not part of the government. South Africa, it's a sovereign country. So they've got their own laws, and the very same laws are applied everywhere, Ziggy. I even drop a message on one of your vlog that you've done earlier on, and I'm like, in Zimbabwe, we know that Kenyans has been deported. Nobody make a noise about it. In Botswana, they even took out helicopters to run after, to chase the people on the ground so that they can leave the country. Nobody made a noise about it. Why in South Africa? Why in South Africa? You ask yourself those questions and you don't come out with an answer. It's either it's disrespect or either because other people they just get twisted, or either they miss the mark when they see how the South Africans are behaving, and they think that even if you are a visitor you can behave like South Africans, and it becomes a different story. I, for one, when even Dr. Mutsualedi was telling Nicole Fritz, the CEO of Helen Suzman organization, that, you know what, you were not there when we were fighting, and he knows what he's talking about. So if he's gonna take his whiteness privilege and think that everything is gonna be fine, instead the South Africans will chase the Helen Suzman organization out of South Africa, because here in South Africa the law is South Africans rules, not the government. And when the South Africans start speaking, the government listen. So it is the people that are ruling, even though the government is there, because the very same government it's elected by the people. Without the South Africans, there's no government. So people need to understand.
Interesting. Okay. Hey, Lozi.
Hi, Ziggy. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Hello, Ziggy. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are
Good.
you?
Long time.
Long time, yes.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I was saying, yeah. Look, I heard sister. I can't see her name again, but I know her voice.
Peshi.
Forgot her name.
Peshi.
It's sister. Yes. Yeah. No, yeah. What she said, it's 100%. But I think most South Africans or Africans in general, they don't understand what's happening when it comes to this global agenda. So South Africa now is being used as an experiment, right, to achieve their agenda, and this was bound to there's a background somewhere there.
Yeah, I'm trying to check where
This was
it's coming
bound
from.
to happen. Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this was bound to happen, and we are these are the consequences of having minority in power deciding for majority. The deciding point was in 1986 to 1990 when the negotiations took place, when the underground took Mandela out of jail and he started to go around the world, even in UK, where they made deals about this new structure of South Africa. South Africa is part of the global agenda. As you know, South Africa has been used as a bridge, a port into Africa. So as I always say, before 1994, the same people who are defending migrants, who all of a sudden started to care about the Zimbabweans, the Malawians, the Burundis, the Nigerians, every black person in Southern Sahara, they built an electrical fence before 1994, before the black presidents, before the black government. They literally built an electrical fence when their kind was in power. That electrical fence was to block everyone who was coming to South. And that was specifically because they could exploit us. Be it the blacks were exploited more, and then the coloreds were like a second, and then the Indians were there. These were like they call them a bourgeoisie class, where they were lesser slaves compared to us, so they could exploit us and get a free labor. after the so-called democracy on paper, as South Africa, it's a manufacture hub of the continent. What they've done is they've set the industries here to extract the minerals all over Africa and manufacture as much as they can do here because it's costing less. But they can no longer get the free labor from the citizens of South Africa because they don't care about us. They care about doing the manufacture and exporting it to their first world countries, and then the second goods will be distributed on the continent. Probably South Africa will be the first. That's why we have got a bit of higher standards of living compared to the average African on the continent. But now the South Africans, the population of South Africans, especially the black, we are now suffering this because we can see this happening. It's exactly what is happening in America as well. America is basically a military camp of UK. They have implemented the same systems. So I don't know the outcomes of this because even the white South Africans, on average, they are feeling heat through this because the crime that is happening in South Africa today, it doesn't choose. It's also affecting them, especially those who live in the farms because they are vulnerable. Those who can hide in the heavy walls, they can hide there. But those in the farms have been feeling the same pressure as an average black South African. Because South Africa has been used as a United States of Africa, but we don't have the same resources as USA, and we don't have the same security as USA. The lack of resources makes us to be vulnerable. So South Africa is more or less open for everyone to just walk in and do whatever they want. And the same people, they are so ungrateful. If you go online, they are forever casing South Africans, especially black South Africans. They hate us most. Be it East Africans, Central Africans, West Africans, they pick on us. But most these same people have got a relative who lives, and this was possible through I would say a black government of Mandela. They are the ones who made these global deals that they were going to relax our border so that they can carry on with the global agenda of free cheap labor. So it's just a continuous process. Nothing has changed from exploiting black South Africans. The system is still the same. They just changed the slaves. It is what happened. But the sad thing is that we cannot get everybody on board. Africans, they think as individuals. It's based on stomach. The Zimbabwean will fight to be in South African work, even if they can see what the system is doing. Remember, this system don't love Zimbabweans. At the moment, the system is capable of achieving the agenda through them, but they don't care about what's happening. They don't care about the bitterness that is going to rise from this. Now, today, an average South African hates more Zimbabwean more, and in the past, it was not like this. So we're going to end up raising two nations that are going to be, they are creating enemies among each other, and the Zimbabweans are not doing anything about this. Even the government of Zimbabwe is playing into this. The government of South Africa, the entire continent. But I don't really see the outcome. I don't know the end goal. But the South Africans are going to take their country by force. The government won't stop the people.
Yeah, I think what you are mentioning is also what was mentioned by the Home Affairs, when they were responding to the Helen Suzman, when they're talking that, some of the issues that, when they come out, they're causing conflict between the people, and there's, that tension between the people is what they will use to their advantage, and then they continue to separate people and continue to cause fights between the people, okay? Now, also, I wanted to ask you if you followed the video of one of these Zimbabwean youth who was asking, South Africans to help Zimbabweans or to help Zimbabwean youth, in their struggle,
Look, the approach the Zimbabwean youth can take is to, if they can create a community with the youth of South Africa, and we both revolt against all these governments, because at the moment we can no longer say it's only the government of Zimbabwe that is the enemy to South Africa. Even our government is so what ANC is doing now, they're trying to kill two birds with one stone. ANC created Operation Dudula, by the way, So Operation Dudula is their underground creation that they want to resolve to sort out this mess, because they still need the votes from the locals as well, because 2024 it's not too far. that previously they thought they will be in power up until Jesus comes back, right? So they've been playing with the global agenda. And at the moment, you can see the shift as well in the globe, because Russia and Ukraine, BRICS is growing, right? BRICS is having more members. So they get into a point where they can tell this old imperial agenda that, you know what, you can go to hell. We want to adapt to new laws. This is a whole plan, because remember, ANC had to play for both races and both world. In some sense, I understand what they were trying to do, to maneuver against a strong enemy, right? But so what ANC has done, ANC has played a good card at the international stage, at a global affairs, but domestically they've failed so bad, and now they are living the consequences. So they're trying to resolve the domestic issues and try to save their position at the global stage. At a global stage, I'm talking about competing with the West for trade and just pure power, you know. And we're looking also at the continent. The ANC plan was always to dominate throughout the continent and replace the Western system. So they have done that well, but they also have achieved that at a cost of the citizens of South Africa. You know, everything is firing back. I always say, I would like to see ANC continuing being a South African national party at a global stage, because they've got the blueprint. They know what they need to do. They can carry the agenda. But domestically, I wish we can have another party that is just going to deal with our domestic issues, because ANC failed to achieve both. You know, they have done well in keeping the agenda for intercontinental trade and getting the big countries on Africa to be on their side, you know, dominating capital in most African companies, where you see most African countries where you see South African companies expanding after 1994, even although some of these companies are white companies. But we have seen also where the government-owned companies have also penetrated, which is it's one element you can use to control these other African puppet states. They have done well in that. But the cost of that was the agreements they always make with these other countries and the global agenda, where they have to sacrifice South Africa. You know, I don't know to be honest, I don't know the solution. But coming back to what you asked with the Zimbabwean youth trying to communicate with the South Africans and getting help, it's sad, because the Zimbabweans are only starting to react now when it's too late. You know, I wish if there's still time to come together and find solutions. But the Zimbabweans have been selfish all along as well. South Africans have been crying from 2008. I mean, remember, it's not only Zimbabweans. We had an influx of Mozambicans, which it's also reached, I think, above 1 million at some point. And the xenophobic attacks in 2008, it had a lot to do with Mozambicans than the Zimbabweans. The Zimbabweans came as a second period of influx to South Africa, probably from 2014 up until today. So and these are like large communities in South Africa. But if you look at it, you still find, I mean, the Ethiopians, I don't think the government knows how many of those guys we have here, the Somalians, the Bangladesh, and these guys, apparently, some of them are able to push arm deals in our country. They are able to have weapons that are serious, you know, now it's a national threat, you know. So ANC in that sense has failed the people of South Africa. And average South African today on the ground, I don't think they really care about Zimbabweans. They just want to see them out, to be honest. This is coming from what I hear. You still have got like a large number of the Pan-Africans. Usually they tend to vote for EFF. I think what Zimbabwean youth can do is to align mostly with those guys. But the problem with the Pan-African guys in EFF, they're not practical, and they're not going to offer, most of the times they don't offer practical solutions. That's one thing I can tell you, you know.
Interesting. So in other ways, like, you know, I was also, when I was reading again what was mentioned by the Home Affairs, they also mentioned something to do like regime change. So meaning that to them, this immigration issue is something that is very, very important. That's something that they are actually also holding on tight, because if the South African citizens fall in love with them by solving
Because
the immigration
in South
issue,
Africa,
it means
the law is South Africans' rules, not the government. And when the South Africans start speaking, the government listen. So it is the people that are ruling, even though the government is there, because the very same government is elected by the people. Without the South Africans, there's no government. So people need to understand.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Page.
Okay, yes, Patience is right. But you see, I think we need to understand that the government still rules. You know, South Africa is a democratic country per se. You know, it hasn't reached a point where people on the ground takes arm with the government, but it's quickly getting there. If they don't watch out, it's getting there so fast. I think what I said is that ANC is trying to kill two birds with one stone, right? ANC is trying to secure their position on the continent because the coming intercontinental trade it's putting South Africa at an advantage. Do you even know that in 2012, South Africa was the largest direct investor into other African countries through the government of South Africa, even beating even the West and China in 2012. So South Africa, for the past 15 years, it has been positioning itself through ANC. The position was to dominate Africa, and I think one of the strategies they're using is to be open. You know, even at the decimate, I mean, the sacrifice of South African citizens, they've been trying to win all African leaders by all cost. There is a kind of a ground breakthrough because we can see the African inter-trade it's taking place. But what is so disappointing as well is that it's also infiltrated by the West as well. If you look at the current investments that are going on to build the roads, even the African Bank, I mean, I think one of the largest investors there, it's still the European. So I don't know if this idea will succeed because it seems like we're working backwards. But that's what the government of South Africa has been trying to do. I will propose this. The government of South Africa needs to listen to people and not listen to people to win the temporary solution to win votes in 2024. They need to listen to people by acting. They need to start putting their weight on the ground. I mean, South Africa has got the resources. We don't have an excuse why our border is porous. There's really no excuse. And they also cut a large budget in our defense force. Our defense force, we are putting about roughly $3 billion on our defense force. It just shows because South Africa can pull even $10 billion there on our own budget. Our national budget annually is forever the largest in Africa. South Africans pay the most tax in Africa. There's no even competition. So there's no excuse to why we are vulnerable. We are having, Zeki, if we be honest, thousands of South Africans have died in the hands of migrants, probably close to apartheid era in the last 28 years. And compared to the numbers of you that died during xenophobic attack, it's not even comparable. But nobody's ready to talk about it. In a sense, the entire continent has been killing Black South Africans more than anything. This is what we got through all this the ambition of ANC. This is what we've got, but nobody wants to discuss that. People want to talk about the event that took the media front and all this corrupt South African media publishing, because this publishing, the media publishers of South Africa, they are controlled either by the government, which most of the times is ANC, or the West. Almost 66 news channels in Africa are controlled by a company called Naspers. That's a company that the largest shareholder is the government, and the second largest shareholders is the Netherlands, the Europeans. So you have to see the agenda. They've been on the media, they put whatever they want. For example, this week now, in Morocco, it's reported that about 23 Africans were shot. Most of them came from countries like Sudan, South Sudan, Uganda, and some West African countries. They used it as a chain a bridge to cross to Spain. Now the Spain government has been fighting with Morocco government to block this. Apparently, they say Morocco soldiers have been trying to stop them, but these guys were armed. I don't know if that's a made-up thing or what, but when it comes to how most African migrants, especially the illegal ones, behave, in sovereign states, in foreign countries, I might be very skeptical about choosing a side. But I'm not saying people should be killed, but I'm just saying there is a huge problem where when the media is very biased about what news they decide to publish in the mainstream. These news were supposed to make more noise than even any xenophobic attacks that has happened in South Africa, because this is even worse, where the government has unleashed a military on the poor people and killed them. Whereas in South Africa, that has never happened. But this is making news in some media, not all. But if
Yeah,
it was South
not
Africa,
all.
CNN, BBC, and all South African news channels will be running in this, including all African news channels, because they are almost owned by South Africa. You look at Inca News, News 24, they all owned by Naspers. MultiChoice owned by Naspers. You find out that all your news channels in Zimbabwe, they might be owned by Naspers. You go to Nigeria, could be the same. So these guys, they are literally running the agenda that they want. They don't even give voice to an average South African. We have never literally told our story. We have been painted as xenophobic.
Wow. Josie?
Yeah. Like Lozi's right there. We've never been able to tell our story. I mean, like it's all these other people telling our story, and there's always a lot of misinformation on other people tell our stories, and they also put their own agendas in our story. And another thing that I wanted to add is that I think as South Africans, whether we like it or not, we've we've become the leader of the continent. Basically, we have states around us, and as far as West Africa, that have just crumbled, unfortunately, and fallen apart. And then as a lot of these countries, I get Southern African countries like Zimbabwe and Mozambique, but like someone from far away, like Nigeria, or Ghana, or wherever, for me, that's something else. And then, unfortunately, we've become the leader of the continent just due to our economy and uh, and some of the things that we have in place in our society, which is unfortunate because for us, we have our own problems. The average South African doesn't think about being the leader of the continent. We're just trying to live our lives and make sure we have a good society. But whether we like it or not, the well-being of other Africans is in our best interest. So, for me personally, for me, this is what needs to happen. We have to become stronger economically than what we are, and militarily as well. And whether we like it or not, we're gonna have to influence a lot of the countries on the continent. Whether maybe even be the new colonial masters. Maybe some people might not like hearing that, but it's true because I don't see some countries ever getting their act together. First, we're gonna have to get our act together, and maybe whether we like it or not, have some sort of influence politically and economically in other countries and put in place measures to protect their citizens. Because with all the problems we have in this country, there are measures that we can protect ourselves against. The Constitution has helped us many times, even with many failures that the state has had. There are many things that have been put in place that do benefit us. So, and I think if we can just get our own ducks in a row and have a continental plan, which the ANC did have their own continental plan, but I'm sure we could adjust it and take over, whether we like it or not. We're gonna have to be the ones that do that. So yeah.
But I wanted to ask, like, why is the hello Peshi? I've just added this account. I'm not sure if which one I'm going to use. Okay, so
Okay.
I wanted to
Ask.
ask, why is there so much silence? In this when it comes to the leaders. I am yet to come up or to come across any voice from the real leaders of these countries that are involved, whose citizens are under the spotlight. So I'm like, why is there so much silence on the leaders?
Well, it's simple. They've messed up, and like when you've really messed up, sometimes you just want to just hide and make sure and just hope that everything just goes away. Like they've really no, I'm being honest. Like they've really messed up, and they're ashamed. Some of them are ashamed, and look, and they should be because they're benefiting from their own people's struggle. a lot of these countries, like whenever something, let's say, let me give you an example, right? When you hear about so-called xenophobic attacks in South Africa, many of the leaders of the countries that these people come from, they don't talk about these things that happen in South Africa. Whether it be Nigeria, whether it be Zimbabwe, they never ever really raise these points because they know they can't really do anything for their country's citizens, and they know that they benefit from the struggles of their own people. So yeah, so they're hiding their heads in shame, and just hoping that no one says anything, and praying that this all goes away or someone else fixes it for them. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Interesting.
Okay. If I have a chance here, I can just add on what Josie Gold said, because Josie Gold, most of the times, his perspectives are more or less the same way I see what is happening, in the current events globally and intercontinental and at that national level. So what he said is very, very important. But I would like to add, you see, after most countries in Africa gained in so-called independence, because I don't really think it's independent, I'll say so-called. Most of them are more than 40 years old on average. Some of them are like 65, like Ghana, Nigeria 62, Ethiopia never been colonized. Liberia was a new country through, I'll say, a colony of Black Americans. Zimbabwe is probably 34 or 40. But my point is this. They've always been trying to make an example. Whenever an African leader tries to take a stand and try to stand with a strong and have an agenda aim for a true liberation. And I think they've succeeded in that because we were still going through, I would say, like an aftermath of colonization. So most of our leaders and people were still paralyzed. Most of them were still holding on the old ways. They were comfortable with the old ways. You look at leaders like Muammar Gaddafi, Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah. You look at there was this one Egyptian president as well. I forgot his name. You look at Idi Amin. You look at Patrice Lumumba. You look at Steve Biko, Chris Hani. You look at Mugabe. You look at Thomas. Is it this guy, the former president of Mozambique, which Mandela, Ramachel, I forgot his name. But these are the leaders that tried to take a stand in opposing what they call it, a but the aftermath of colonization. They've either managed to eliminate them or get them to be silenced by hitting them through economically. And they've always succeeded because Africa was never unified after gaining independence. Then Africa was never unified because all African countries did not get independent in the same day and same year. So they have deliberately delivered this independence in each era so that they can break through. They've done it so intentionally. So it was to achieve an agenda so that if we got independent, all the entire continent at the same time, we could have carried the same agenda. So they have always managed to separate us, which I think is the loophole that ANC always saw. I'll speak for ANC because I'm not attached to most African political parties' background. But you look at ANC, their strategy was to always compete with this Western to capture the entire continent. The fact that they will succeed in eliminating these African leaders who took a stand, then pushed the other states to fold arms, to not go against the master or the enemy, because the enemy appeared to just be too powerful, and it's a fact. I mean, their structure went to conquer through the globe. If you go to New Zealand, they've got their structure. Australia, they even go as far as colonizing China. They took over even Japan after World War II. They went as far as getting to influence even India. They go as far as taking over the entire Southern America. So you can see in the entire continent of Africa. So you can see why they had so much power because they controlled all the structures. Meaning, look how easy it was for them to sanction Zimbabwe when Mugabe was trying to fight back. And Mugabe is fighting back when he's an old man, because when he was young, chasing wealth and all the goodies that came with being an alliance of Commonwealth, he didn't make much noise, and that's so normal with many African leaders. At their prime, they are in bed with the West, and as they get old, it's like they just get a wake up call all of a sudden, and they start to care about people, you know. So you can see Mugabe when he was at his prime, he was happy to run Zimbabwe as it was. Although Zimbabwe was not doing bad, you know how they do it. If you are in bed with them, they give you a sense of economy. Like even South Africa now, they always gave us a sense of a better economy by putting this working structures. Zimbabwe was once a basket, a bread basket of Africa, like meaning they were agriculturally doing well. Zimbabweans were not all over scattered, and that has spoiled Zimbabwean spirit. You guys had about 20 or 25 years of long running with probably I would say a better economy in terms of African standards on average, and then most Zimbabweans got educated. It's hard to get people who had education to get online and be on ground. These people, they tend to look for easy way out because they believe they've got skills. Running out of the country was optional. I mean, I was reading an article. It said about 75% of Zimbabwean professionals are working outside. You can see that even the youth of Zimbabwe that wants to fight today, they really gonna have to take a chance, because when they go back at home, all these professionals that you have from South Africa, UK, America, they're not gonna easy come back. They're waiting to see Zimbabwe running and back to normal, and then that's the time they will come back with their experience. That's unfortunately what is going to have to happen. The youth of Zimbabwe that wants to build their country, especially those who worked in South Africa and the skills they got, they can transfer them back at home and just start building from there. But it's definitely not going to happen with this current government as well. What I think as South Africans we can help is for them to get rid of their current government political party, which it can be a miracle, because we are also sitting with ANC and we are trying, but we are not promised that we will win in 2024, because there's just still enough people who might vote for ANC as well.
Yeah, it's true. I wanted to ask also about the Pan-African Parliament was meeting, right? And has there ever been any discussion around the issues of immigration with the Pan-African Parliament?
Josie, you can answer that if you don't mind. I'll come after you.
Okay, look, personally for me, the Pan African Parliament is something that I rarely ever hear about. And when I hear about the Pan African Parliament, it's people fighting and arguing. It's just a mess. And to be straight with you, the Pan African Parliament for me, it's just a waste of money. It's a waste of money, a waste of taxpayers' money, South African taxpayers' money. That's all that it is. They're just messing around, spending our money, running around, running amok. So for me, I'll shut it down, because there's just no use of it. Because for me personally, if anything's gonna come right on this continent, like I said before, one country has to get its own order right and has to find a way of like exerting its influence on the continent for the betterment of the people of the continent. And another thing, we can't run away from this fact that our forefathers on these very same countries, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and so on and so forth, they are not dependent on what the West did. And I think it's something that we really need to take into consideration. Because we need to understand is that, look, how does it happen, right? That you have the land, right? You have the so-called economy, you're in control over it, right? And then someone just makes a few laws somewhere, and then your country just completely just descends into chaos. It's something that we really need to discuss thoroughly, understand how it happens. I mean, like, if you have the land, maybe all you needed was to like learn how to actually farm, get the tools for farming, so at least you could feed yourselves. It's one thing for like working professionals to leave, but for the really poor to leave, if they could feed themselves, if they could make their own clothing, so on and so forth, that kind of stuff, they wouldn't need that, or they could sell their produce to other countries. So for me personally, something that we really need to look into is like, how do you have the land? This is not just directed at Zimbabweans. In many other African countries, they always tell South Africans this, which of course is debatable, the whole land thing in South Africa. But they always brag about how much land they have, and then but to us as South Africans, we don't understand is that you have all of this land, you have all of this arable land, but you're asking people from the West and from other countries in Africa, white South Africans, to come and farm in your country while you are there and the land is yours. How is it that our ancestors and our forefathers could do that and we can't? And I think there has to be education into that. Sure, I understand there needs to be formal education, but at least people need to feed themselves first. Make sure that they eat their own food. Like there needs to be an investment into production, like consuming everything that's yours. And I think that could destroy this whole sanctions thing. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, go ahead, shoot.
Wow.
Yeah, nice one, Josie Gold. Oh, okay, go on, Ziggy.
No, I wanted to ask you also what you think about the Pan-African Parliament with this issue of immigration. You know, I think when you look at the Pan-African Parliament, I think it is in the best position because this is a grouping of, you know, people who are actually close to the general public. So I think these issues, they know that they're there, they know that this is a problem that they have. So I feel like it will be very, very much enlightening to hear them, you know, talk about this issue because we know the perspective of the Pan-Africanism, the open borders, united Africa.
Look, I've learned to differentiate. There's two types of Africans, and just like what Josie Gold said, he mentioned something about most Africans making joke of us all the time, saying we don't own land. I've got to realize. I've grown to realize that you will never find a politician in power from Zambia or Morocco telling a South African this, because in that level they operate with knowledge. They understand the systems. So I've learned to separate that education in Africa is very terrible, you know, and I can tell when I'm engaging with someone from Kenya, Nigeria, or Zimbabwe or DRC just by the level of intellectual. It's easy to spot these things. So each country has got different level of education. So sometimes I can easily pick these things up, and I've learned to avoid it because they don't really know what they're talking about. I've grown so much in knowledge that I've done so much research on my own, just not going to school alone. But I took my time, done research. I've realized that most Africans are not even aware of anything. Most, not all. So, back to the Pan-African government. I don't think Pan-African government is really for open borders as how it's been marketed, it's been advertised. You have people like Julius Malema, which I don't think is really well educated, unless if he's just been playing games and being smart. But if you look at Pan-African government approach, or even African Union, I think these guys are probably in a sense working with in a sense of operating in like a secret society. They won't dish out all the info because we are trying to maneuver through the West as well. They are watching us like dogs. So they have to be smart about all these things, you know, the strategies, approach. That's just what I believe. I'm not saying it's what it is. It's in the comfort of our people. I would like to believe that these guys, they are like working on something, that they're not just stupid. And we won't keep having a generation of puppets who just sell out. You know, at some point, our suffering has to be on hold, be on stop, you know. So they won't dish out everything that it is. They won't always talk about the implementation of what is the open border of Africa. They might advertise it like that, but that doesn't mean we wake up tomorrow, every country is going to take down the borders. You see, is the open borders, are they talking about having access through the political sphere of each African sovereign, where we can influence the political landscape of Zimbabwe, even if it's a South African government? Is it something like that? Are we talking about infrastructure where the South African budget can be shared with the budget of Zimbabwe to patch a bridge, to build a road that can take the goods easily through to Angola and DRC? Are we talking about something like that? You know, are we talking about sharing our education system? If South Africa has got better universities, can we relax the universities to also allow other students to come and get this information easily. If Kenya has got so much of a agricultural land, is Kenya going to allow South African companies which have already got skills to come there and have an easy, relaxed laws to farm there as compared to the colonial systems that we're using now? For me, I think Pan-African is in that sense. There's no logical person who believes that.
Yeah, I really like the examples you are giving, because I think when we are talking about Pan-Africanism, sometimes maybe we are just taking it from the surface of, Pan-Africanism with open
Mainstream
borders.
media.
But what exactly is it?
Yeah. So I think there's probably, Zeki, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I was exactly what you said. So even our politicians like Malema, he could be used as a pawn. I mean, what is like a clown to advertise it in a specific way, but on the agenda, everybody those guys at the higher offices, they know the strategy and how they're gonna tackle it. So we need to differentiate what is on the mainstream media and the agenda they want to push that for control, and what is actually gonna take place on the ground. And you need to be very, very wise to be able to see these things. It's not an average eye that can always see these things. But I lean more to African Union than Pan-African, because for me, Pan-African is like, it's like cash money and young money. Young money was like for like youth, and then cash money is where Ronald Williams carried the whole system and the agenda.
Yeah,
so I believe
cash money.
I believe a African Union, it's like the daddy of Pan-African. That's where the final decisions are made, and that's where I think the core strategy is. But then the Pan-African is being used as like a youth movement that can be on the mainstream. That's why on the mainstream we speak more of Pan-African than African Union, because African unions are the OGs. They want to operate like in the secret society. Because if you look at now, for Putin to meet with the president of Senegal, which is the chairman of African Union now, they didn't send the chairman of Pan-African, because Pan-African is more of the youth. They said they had to send the chairman of the president of Senegal to carry the message, to carry the agenda, to propose the plan, because the world is shifting now. And it's at these critical points that Africa needs to be very, very strategic, and we need to be very, very careful, especially the most influential African countries like South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Egypt, and so many, and Morocco. We need to be very, very, very careful at this point. This point will be a deciding point for Africa's future. Whatever is going on with Ukraine and Russia, this is a very, very deciding point for us as well. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it's quite. Especially when it comes to the issue of Ukraine and Russia. Today, I just got tagged to a certain video. I was like, what? Of course, I've already, been having some contact with that kind of information. But, someone tagged me and they told me that you Ziki, you should move away from CNN and come to this side. Okay. So I was like, yeah. And then when I watched this video, I say, what is being portrayed in the mainstream media with this particular video is completely different. So I was like, I was amazed. I said, this is quite interesting, because on the mainstream media, they're making it look like Ukraine is on the winning side. But where I was tagged, it was coming out it was giving a different perspective altogether. I wish I could just, taken the link to that video that I was tagged into. So I was like, what?
Yeah, look, Zeki. Hello, Zeki. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Look, we need to be very smart about this, and I hope our leaders are very smart. The modern wars need very, very intelligent people, because these are wars that are fought using technology. I'm skeptical about whether Ukraine is winning or Russia is winning. I don't think at this point we're really getting the truth, because remember, Russia as well is running as a propaganda. Putin controls everything there, the information that gets through there. Remember, to raise a strong nation that will follow you to the death, you need to push a propaganda. Even Hitler had to achieve what he did by pushing propaganda for years in Germany. So I'm for propaganda. If you go to China today, they don't allow, I don't think they allow Google there,
No, no,
YouTube,
no. For
WhatsApp.
me, no,
You
no,
know,
no.
they give their people the information that the government
They
deems to be
want.
right. And if you look at the Chinese, how they operate like bees. All of them, their mindset, they're working for the government of China. That's the
Everyone.
propaganda that, you know, if you look at America, America is one of the biggest propaganda machine in the world. You know, there's no doubt about that. You will never succeed your agenda. You will never raise a strong nation without running a propaganda. The problem is in Africa is that we don't control all our media. As I've broken it down with
Yeah, yeah, you
NASPAS, one
did.
of the, yeah. So the problem with that is that South African government doesn't own the entire stake to control the propaganda. If we didn't have the Western stake there, we could literally engineer the entire continent and feed
To
our
be fair,
people what, you
Lozi,
know. Yeah.
can I? No, continue. I'll respond to you.
Oh, okay, thank you. So so the other time I was on a panel engaging with this other Nigerian guy. He was very articulate. I liked that.
Mm.
He mentioned something like what the China has done this probably in the last 50 years. They've removed almost everything that had to do with the colonizers, meaning they
Yeah, they
also
have.
try, they fought religion as well. They almost kicked the entire
No
Christianity and
church.
nonsense. They've removed in their science and maths books, they changed the
Mm.
names to the Chinese names, and
They
that's propaganda. And they speak power to their people. They don't do slavery movies where the Chinese were
mm-mm.
oppressed and begging and shit. So they are raising a proper, full, strong nation that is going to speak power to the next generation. They're not
True.
raising docile kids who are going to see a white person as a master.
No,
And
I'm
and
not
and, and
sure. Sorry to cut you. I'm not sure if you recently you came across the news that China had to recall books, primary school textbook, because of the illustrations that were showing, uh, American flag on a T-shirt. That
yeah, yeah, they don't mess around. And case point being North Korea, you know that China is an ally of North Korea. China actually support North Korea. North Korea is actually still standing today because of China. But if you look at the system in North Korea and China, they're the same. It's just that North Korea is slightly like above the board, whereas
yeah,
China has managed to create their dominating system, but still trading with the rest of the world. And I think the
yes,
advantage with China was because of numbers. Their population is almost 1.4 billion, so everybody needs that market, and they've got skills as well. They've
they
managed
do.
to educate almost 700 million of their people. That's the largest group of educated race or tribe or ethnicity in the entire world. So
Mm.
they capitalized on that. But if you look at North Korea and China, the systems are the same. They all running propaganda through their people, and their people believes in their in their nations and nationality. But okay, just go on, brother.
Yeah, look for me. I think the ANC in terms of the SABC. If you look at most people, the media that they can, how do I put this, that they take in the most is SABC. Look at the radio stations. You look at like the television. Most of the people, like that's most of the info that people take. You might argue newspapers, but newspapers have gone down a bit. So I don't think they've done enough to create their own narrative. And I think for me personally, a lot of the people in the ANC have been preoccupied with a lot of silly things. So they haven't really taken propaganda seriously. They haven't really investigated it enough. They haven't really like paid too much attention to it like other countries have. I mean, one of the reasons why America is so revered is the entertainment industry. We've all consumed them. Now, it's only up until when I was like in my late teens when I started asking myself, why is it that we always watch movies where like Americans are the hero, like aliens come to into the world, they have to go meet the American president, everything just revolves around them, and then we
Mm.
ourselves also start thinking in the same way because we're consuming so much of their media, their news channels, their movies, their music. It has an impact on you, and I think I get why China would try to like protect its image and its own people, to remove American flags at whatever cost, and to make sure that their own people consume their media instead of foreign media and movies and television. I'm sure they'll put some American movies here and there, but I'm sure it's like 90 something percent Chinese. So they're doing everything that they can because they understand the influence that it has. And I don't think this country has invested enough in that, to be honest with you. Like, propaganda matters. Yeah.
It does. You're correct, especially about China, because I usually do live streams on Chinese platform. If I speak more of English and not Chinese, I get blocked. You know, my live stream is just blocked, and I usually receive a message that it has been detected that you're speaking something foreign that might have influence on people. I always get blocked, so I have to
They
be
don't mess
speaking in
around.
Chinese. I have to be
The
speaking in
Chinese.
Chinese.
Do you know
So
Chinese?
yeah. This
Whoa.
way?
Yeah, but they. I was asking, do you know like I don't. There's apparently there's no language called Chinese. They call it what,
Mandarin.
Mandarin or yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they don't mess around. Yeah,
No, they
but
don't.
look, but look, for me, if you look at people like Idi Amin, Gaddafi, and Mugabe, I think these were people trying to take control of the narrative and the information to their citizens. The sad part is just that they didn't have the capacity to achieve that. They didn't have the economy, they didn't have the military, they also didn't have economic technology, they didn't have the numbers in a global scheme of things. Whereas China, I think for China was easy to achieve that. North Korea with the backup of China was easy to achieve that. But if you look
Yes.
at South Korea and Japan, they are left vulnerable. And it's so sad because those countries are so stupid that now currently I think they're going to they have submit. I think they are trying to submit I mean they're trying to join G7. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's very strange because I think China is trying to create the BRICS and expand, right? Wouldn't it make sense for South Korea and Japan to align with China? But then if you dig deeper, you realize that actually Japan and South Korea, they are just like Western states, like the rest of Africa as well. So even Asia is not perfect. They're still actually fighting the hold of the West. But I think that China could be their answer, China and India.
Yeah,
So
they
it,
always
it,
have a
it will be
backup.
foolish. Yeah, it will be foolish for Japan and South Korea to really join their old masters because nothing is going to change with G7. They've betrayed us before multiple times. The world is time for the most countries that have been betrayed by the West. It's time for them to try something different. Whether it's going to work out, that's another question for another day. We just need to. The Russia, China, and India are a better devil at the moment. They are like a lesser devil compared to the West. So it's gonna be stupid for China and Japan to do that. But anyway, I think I don't want to get lost in a topic. The,
Yeah,
the
yeah, it's
issue
true.
of Zimbabwe is that the Zimbabwean people, they need to start understanding South Africans and understand that this could have happened to them as well. What South Africans are feeling today and what they're going through, it's not just hate. It's not like, no, this is a system being put on us, and people are suffering. People are experiencing the heat. I'm not saying Zimbabwe is not going through a lot, because they are. Probably the situation in Zimbabwe, it's way worse than South Africa. But what I'm trying to say is to get into the head of each Zimbabwean or Mozambican or a Lesotho person, because these are like our neighboring countries that are more problematic. They need to understand that this is not a solution. Running to South Africa with a government that has got its own agenda and is willing to sacrifice the people of South Africa will never be a solution. It's a disaster in the waiting. But I said this last time, Zeki, the more people get desperate, they're gonna do whatever they can, And South Africans have been pushed to a point where they even hate the concept of Pan-African. They don't want anything to do with it because it has been pushed as it has got this parasitic element with it. where
That's the
people are
issue. That is
just,
the issue.
you get my point. So we are at that point where nations are put against each other in Africa, where it's not at government level to government level, which is not terrible. But if the individuals and the citizens start to fight, it's also a problem, because I can tell you most South Africans today are not happy with the Zimbabweans. They don't even like most, because it comes as if you guys are selfish. You're not willing to listen to us. You're not willing to join us and be on code. If we need to attack ANC or ZANU PF, be it, but we cannot do it putting pressure on someone you want to fight with. You need to relieve them so that they can be on the best position on the battle to help you to attack as well. But I don't think South Africans are capable of that anymore at the moment.
At the moment,
Yeah.
it's quite difficult. But I also feel,
Mm.
we are getting into a very critical time, especially when it comes to election time. We know Zimbabwe is near and South Africa also. So both countries, all they're focusing on right now is their own. Oh, there's someone messing up my live stream here. They want to get me blocked. Let me block this person. So I'm saying that we're getting into a critical position, election time. Someone is messing up the live stream here.
What do they do? They post like
Yeah,
they take they post
what
you.
they're posting is not permitted. Yes, so I'm trying to block the user there.
Yeah, usually they do that when you say things they don't like. You see, that's what I don't like about most Africans. They cannot even stand to listen to the truth if it doesn't benefit them. We're so weak that if someone says something that goes against our own personal benefits as individuals, oh, I saw that account a long time ago. We don't like it as people. I've been in panels where will engage and I'll share my thoughts, which it's not even wrong or insulting. It's just laying down facts. Someone will post a video or that is not allowed just to interrupt the live stream. That's how much Africans themselves are so petty. We don't even want to hear the truth. I'm talking about an average Africans themselves. Yeah, it's so sad.
But I think sometimes, engaging is the best way, because the moment, especially because of social media, what I've noticed recently, social media is not helping in anything, because on social media there is no discussion, it's only bashing. And sometimes the things that we condemn, even if when we are alone, you're critically thinking, say, but this person is making sense. If someone is telling you that, hey, do this for your home to be okay, and then you think that person is an enemy, you understand? So at the end of the day, realize that there is so much negativity on social media, and that is why again you see there is so much tension between South Africans and in, let me say, with Zimbabweans. Okay, it all emanates from not wanting to listen, not wanting to discuss. Thinking that if someone says something that is factual, you feel offended by the truth. So that's another huge problem here. Peshi, I hope now you are okay with your network. She can't hear me. Peshi, she has been trying for a long time. Okay, let's try Josie. Josie.
Can you hear me now, Ziki?
Yes.
Hey, I've struggled. I don't know what was happening with the thing. What we have discussed earlier on, I could hear it with the current conversation taking place.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I heard what Lozi and Gold are saying. That is the true fact. As I've said early this year, I don't know whom I was discussing with, and I was like, this needs us and the Zimbabweans to sit down, even though it's late. Because you know what? It's not a problem. It's who we are as South Africans, Ziki. We keep quiet, we don't blow our trumpet. And then that has made the Zimbabwean to take South African as stupid, as people who are uneducated, because those are the information that they got from their oppressors or their slave masters. And then they thought that, oh, these whites, they love us. How can they love you if you manage to chase them from your country and thereafter you follow them? And then you come and think that when we are fighting, no, they don't know what they are fighting for. They are just lazy. They don't want to work. They just want to get paid. We have passed that process of being slaves. So if they want to be the new colonial slave, let them be. Right now, I think it was this week, Lozi, you can correct me, where they found about 50 Zimbabweans working for a Chinese guys, and they were locked in that plastic factory. They would sleep there, eat there, drink there, do everything there, including 4 Chinese girls that were also yeah, I think they've trafficked them from China.
Hey.
It's so messy. And now Zimbabweans, it's coming to their mind that, you know what, let's sit down and try to talk. And South Africans are no longer there. They've passed the time of talking. It's about action. And believe you me, come December, they will be watching what is happening. If Zimbabweans insist to be on this soil by January, it's gonna be messy. It's gonna be messy. And that it doesn't mean that the people are gonna be affected. It will only be Zimbabweans, including Nigerians, including Pakistan, including all these other people who think they are wise. Right now, the Ethiopians has been chased away in Cape Town because they thought that, these people, is as long we've got our guns, we can barge into their house and kill people. Their shops are closed down. They've been chased away. South Africa, it's gonna be clean. All this mess, it's going away. So if they're gonna want to insist and stay here, it's at their own expense and their lives. Because South Africans have been quiet for a long time. They from early 2000, 2002, 4, when Zimbabwe started to flock in, all the farmers were no longer employing the colored people for their farms. They will prefer the Zimbabweans and the Basutus. And the Basutus, you must remember, Lesotho special permit, it's also coming to an end next year in 2023. So before it comes and let us face them, we will be done with the Zimbos.
But sister, sorry, Zik. Sister Peshi,
Okay,
just
go
to
ahead.
add on what just to add on what Peshi said, I also have a question because I don't understand this permit. Why did South African government issue this permit?
You know, at the beginning, Lozi, what has happened, you must remember, in 1994, when South Africa became liberated, and then what has happened, most of the people were flocking into South Africa, and all to found out that when they realized that in 1998, 1996, 1998, they were like, no, man, there's a lot of influx of foreign people coming here. And those people, when they check on the system, they are not there. And could you imagine Zimbabwe's coming here and be saying, oh no, we need asylum? There is no war in Zimbabwe. We could understand with the Mozambican, and we were focused on the Mozambican. So by then, the Minister of Home Affairs, it was not, who was it? I can't remember who was it by then. Because since the 1994 thingy, Mutsualedi is the third one. So the first one was like, oh no, it's better for us to legalize them. And then, but the most flags that we are seeing, it's coming from Zimbabweans. For them not to be here illegally, let's just call them and say, you know what? Why are you guys here? They were like, oh no, we are running away, the politics, blah, blah, blah. Others, they were here for economical reason and all that. They were like, okay, let's legalize you. we're gonna make these permits, but it's only for 4 years. After 4 years, they are invalid. You guys, during that period, make sure that you legalize yourself and apply for the correct visas. Did they do that? No, because when you hear with this Simba Chitando, they are the ZANU PF. Actually, even the ZANU, they were like, no, they don't even know this guy. But here in South Africa, he says he represents ZANU. He is the lawyer, the one that stays in Sanctions. But even their consular said, no, you don't stand for ZANU. We don't know you. We don't know whom you are representing. And then he said, no, when people are in a country and then they need to get the permanent resident, where did they find that? Did they take time and read our constitution? It's not even there. And for you to get the permanent citizen, it's not by force. It depends. We've got people who are working in Canada, in UK. They've been there for 8 years. Are they having the permanent resident? No. But the Zimbabweans wants to be South African by fire, by force. So they were like, no. So instead, I think after 4 years, when it expires, Malusi Gigaba was like, okay, let me just extend it with 3 years. And Malusi Gigaba extended them and gave them another 3 years. So, and then when Dr. Mutsoaledi took over, was like, okay, let's just do it and then we'll see. And then here in 2019, 2020, that's when the COVID started. And then he was like, okay, let's just hold on and see what is happening. Boom, last year. And then they were quiet when this announcement was made, up until they were like, but how is it gonna happen? Because when you look, these people were not even 187, they were more than 200. And then others decided to live forever in December. And then those that came back, that's when Mutsoaledi started to say to them, okay, it's fine, guys, I'm giving you a year to legalize yourself. So Nicole Fritz, this white privileged woman from Helen Suzman Foundation, it's like, no, they have not been given enough time. What time is enough for you to put an application form? Is it 2 years, 3 years? I don't know.
And
But
also,
you
I
see,
think, okay, go ahead,
go on,
then
Ziggy.
I'll ask.
All right. You see, patient, what you said is true. It is what it is. It's what happened. You know, personally, I will never understand why agency has done that. Because we probably don't have the inside information and the agenda, or what pushes them to do these things. You know, but there is something bigger than us and what we know, the knowledge we have. I mean, it's funny when you look at the white South Africans on social media. It's like they are on code. Most of them will fight for African migrants all of a sudden, out of the blue. And I was just arguing with this white dude on Twitter. I told him, like, look, when your own kind was controlling South Africa, they literally built an electrical fence, and even put more soldiers on the border beyond the electrical fence, because they didn't want anyone close to that. Fast forward 28 years, they're fighting for people to come to South Africa. And it's so funny. The black South Africans are the ones who are, black South Africans like the Malemas, they're the ones who are speaking on the global sanctions that are imposed on the leaders of Zimbabwe. Because those global sanctions are strategically imposed there to hurt the economy, right? The white South Africans are not fighting for that. It's so weird how they not sorting out the real root of what brought Zimbabwe where it is and what is still holding Zimbabwe, which is those sanctions. They never touch that. It's as if these people are on code. It's as if they attend some school to be taught on how the system is running and how they must gatekeep it. I mean, why don't the white South Africans, if they're so concerned about the life of Zimbabweans, why don't they address the real issue, which is the sanctions that are imposed by their own kind in Zimbabwe? And the other funny part is this: UK for the past 500 years has been looting the resources in every corner of the world they can find for that little island there to pave their roads with gold. They are living so lavish through rape and killing other people, innocent nations. And they are still fighting the immigration today. They fed up with immigrations, but these are nations that are worth trillions of GDP above South Africa. An average person in UK is earning so much than South Africa, but they are fed up with migrants, but they want South Africa to tolerate something that we don't even have 30% of the resources that they have to keep the system that they want us to uphold. You know, so for me it's so strange, and we as South Africans can see all these things taking place. I believe even other Africans can see it, but they won't say it because they are in it for self-benefit. It's self-beneficiary to them. So they won't call this thing out. Why are Zimbabweans not focusing so much? I mean, an average Zimbabwean is fighting to be in South Africa. Not they talk less about the sanctions. I even saw many of them saying there's no sanctions in Zimbabwe. Well, there is sanctions in Zimbabwe. That's why the economy is not even functioning. It's not just the problem is not just an PF. At the root, Zimbabwe has been blocked to really open up a trade with other countries. That's what they do. This G7 and G20, they carry the agenda. Zimbabwe is open to trade with China in some sense, but trading with one powerful country is not going to benefit you. You need to be in an open trade with everyone so that you can negotiate the prices and all that, the services, the exchange rate and all that. But they have been held, and the Zimbabweans don't want to fight that because I think it's a fight they gave up on. In fact, they will take any opportunity given to go to UK.
And it's so bad because even in UK, they don't want them anymore. How many Zimbabweans has been deported since the beginning of this year back to Zimbabwe from UK? And when you look at the situation, Lozi, what is happening, it's politically, strategically, because these other African countries, they look at South Africa. You must remember, South Africa is the only African country that has won its independence, and thereafter there was no war like the other countries. And then that alone, it gives them chest pains, because when you look at it again, even the UK, the West as a whole, we cannot trust them because they can act as if no, they are on our side while they have their own agenda, because now apparently they are aware that things are not going well. So most of the white people, they want to leave the West. So where will they go? All their eyes are here in South Africa. So how can that happen for them to be here in South Africa? Because the clever blacks in South Africa, they are now standing on their own. They are strong. They can talk. They can do all those things. So it's not nice for them. So no, because they've got the mentality that blacks on blacks, it works so well. It has worked in all the African countries. It's either it's tribal or anything. So for us to destabilize or either to make them lose focus on us, let us make them fight on their own. That's what they are doing. And regarding the sanctions in Zimbabwe, everybody knows that there's sanctions in Zimbabwe. For the sanctions not to be lifted at the moment, it's due to the behavior of Mnangagwa, because at the moment, I remember even the plea when it was done this year, he has been told that due to the inhumane treatment that he is doing to his nation, it's not it doesn't put Zimbabwe in a good place. So he needs to do better than this. Is as long he's still allowing his soldiers or police to go and shamble people on the street, not allowing people to have freedom of speech. Zimbabweans, that's why they love South Africa, because they can breathe when they are here. When they are in Zimbabwe, they can't talk. You talk in Zimbabwe, you get missing, or either you are arrested and you'll be found dead.
Yeah, but you see, patient, we need to be careful with that approach. I'm not for ZANU-PF, right? But this is the propaganda that the West has always ran. When with the fact that they imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe, it could have been ZANU-PF or anything. The party that is gonna get on power, it's not gonna let go of power. They're just gonna serve themselves. But what ZANU-PF is trying to do, which I think they carrying the blueprint of Mugabe, is not to surrender the fight they've already got here. So what they do, these guys, when they want to lift the sanctions, they always put themselves at a position where they are to benefit, at an advantage position, where they still want to loot the remaining resources of Zimbabwe and control the economy. And this is where I always say Mandela came at a very critical point, because Mandela was able to maneuver through these systems. He understood how he saw the system for what it is. He saw how the system behaved, and he understood how he can go around the system and buy time. What I think ZANU-PF and Mugabe have failed in their blueprint is to recognize how this system is and maneuver through the system. Mugabe went through, at his last days, he went through for a full-blown approach, and he was arrogant about it. This was in South Africa, who came close to this approach was Jacob Zuma. Because Jacob Zuma was being, even if the intentions he was carrying were the end means are good. You know, Africa belongs to Africans, but the strategy is very important. That's why I always uphold Mandela very, very high among many leaders in human history. Jacob Zuma was still carrying the same blueprint of Oliver Tambo, Mandela, and all the great leaders we have. There's probably a blueprint. But what Zuma was doing was to be arrogant about it, like Mugabe. He was literally pushing South Africa directly to the East BRICS, while just spitting in front of the West, and that's why they hated him so much, just like Mugabe at his final days. So we need to be careful about maneuvering throughout these systems. As Africans, we need to understand our position currently. We're not in a best position to make certain moves. You know, like I can understand what ZANU-PF is trying to hold on, but if they have to come on table and buy time and negotiate with these sanctions, be it, because right now ZANU-PF is able to carry their agenda because they are resting their problems on South Africa. As long as South Africa is there babysitting ZANU-PF and their problems, they won't have much pressure from their own citizens. Zimbabweans are in South Africa working for anything is better than Zimbabwe at the moment. So ZANU-PF is currently resting on South Africa, and they're not offering real solutions because they're not Africa. You see, that's the biggest problem. I don't think ZANU-PF would still be there if South Africa was not here. Botswana is not going to help Zimbabwe like South Africa is helping. So the Zimbabweans were going to turn and revolt against the government because they won't have a choice. ZANU-PF has managed to stay in power and be alive because South Africa has allowed this. South Africa has said, we will be the Father Christmas. We will carry all the problems in the southern region while you can sleep and enjoy your power now. ZANU-PF needs to communicate with ANC, go around how they can maneuver these things and come on table with Commonwealth, if be it just to buy time, so that the business in Zimbabwe can take ground and go back to normal. And then we will all eventually get there as the continent.
But it's not going to be easy, Lozi, because when you check the relationship between the ANC and ZANU-PF has soured a little bit. So it's not going to be that easy for them maybe to rekindle their friendship. Because I remember even when we asked as South Africans, why doesn't the government speak to the government of Zimbabwe regarding these migrants that are here in South Africa? And then do you know what was Nangwangwa's response? Those people are just criminals. How can more than it's approximately 3 million Zimbabweans that are here in South Africa. And if your president can say you are there because you are criminals, what's that?
That guy doesn't care about
He said it live, Ziki. It was live, not maybe in writing. Live. I was listening to him. He was like, no, those are hooligans. South Africa must just arrest them and put them in jail.
But you see, Patient, there's just something bigger than what we are discussing. As I said, we don't have inside information because military of Zimbabwe it's too weak for South Africa. South Africa can literally invade the entire southern region alone, looking at the technology we have. Why is South Africa not doing anything about ZANU-PF? I understand it's a sovereign state, there's global laws or whatever, but we kind of like an enabler in this sense, because ANC, we are sitting with the problem here of the Zimbabweans in South Africa. So what does it benefit them to remain soft with ZANU-PF if they are not on terms?
Comradeship. They signed a code of brotherhood.
And Ziki, even if maybe they want to, you must remember the current president and most of the cadres, they are friends, and they've got business, they've got mines in Zimbabwe. Even Malema, that's why Malema is speaking so highly about the Zimbabweans, his brothers and sisters. He has got mines in Zimbabwe. So they are benefiting one way or
Yeah,
another
true.
because of the mess in Zimbabwe. And with
Malema is
them,
there for himself.
exactly. Did you see how he behaved even on the PAP yesterday? And I'm just glad because they didn't nominate him.
Yeah, I was going to follow
Uh,
that. Anyway, before we go
uh,
there, let me just ask you something quickly. On the Helen Suzman Foundation action, they mentioned something to do with the Zimbabweans when they left Zimbabwe. They were running away from a situation, and they stated that the situation is still there. So therefore, why do you want to cancel the permits? I'm
Which
not sure if you came
situation?
across that part.
That's where we say, Ziki, the situation is still there, which is what the economical situation. What is the economical situation of the South Africans? We've got 64 youth here in South Africa that is unemployed. So how can you host or either invite your neighbors' children to come and have dinner in your house while your children are starving? Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. So, and the other thing, the most of the people, the way they are contradicting themselves, I can't wait for this court case. And then you'll hear them saying, the representatives of the Zimbabweans, they will be like, no, these people are having their houses. What's going to happen to your houses? Working as a house manager or a gardener, can you be able to apply for a loan for a house, Lozi, here in South Africa and get approved? It's impossible. So most
well,
of the things that yes, Lozi.
yeah, knowing how corrupt this, not just corrupt, knowing how we don't really understand what's going on. I feel like these people can win if for regarding the people who are behind this. It's as if there's people bigger than ANC who are controlling these things, and they thrive on chaos. I think they are the West. It's using their white South African gatekeepers to thrive on chaos. They know that if South Africa is its own order, is going to empower black people more, because South Africa, is, as I said, is the hub of Africa, where the manufacture and exports and imports are taking place at the largest scale. Information is coming fast as well. So they have to allow certain things, and wherever they can, they have to create chaos, because that they will thrive in that. They just need to find the balance between the amount of chaos they create and order. So there is a reason why these white South Africans are fighting for Zimbabwe or the rest of the immigrants in South Africa page. And I don't think it's just cheap labor only. There's something beyond that they are benefiting and keeping their West allies for this. They're carrying an agenda. There's like a memorandum that is given to them to carry this. This is not something easily explained.
No, Lozi, the whites South Africans, they are fighting for themselves. They don't want ANC, because when you look at what is happening, for them to make sure that all these things that has been hidden, that has been there, like the Pala Pala gate, All these things, they are pulling everything so that it can look, and they don't know the South Africans, because they keep on saying, yeah, 2024, people must not forget, they must make sure that they don't vote ANC. Who are you to decide or to tell me? Unless there are people, yes, who can be weak-minded, and if I go and tell them, don't vote for ANC, vote for Gayton Mackenzie. Gayton Mackenzie said it recently, and I'm looking at the people who are following him. He said, South Africa, all the companies and everything since 1994, it's only the black South Africans that has been benefiting. That, to me, it was like, oh, so now it's going to be colored and black. If that it's a case, then
Altogether.
let it be. Who's going to
Yeah,
follow
that's
this guy? Because how many colors do we have in South Africa? You cannot go to parliament because of those. Even if they say all of them go, they go and vote for him. That's why they say he's doing so well in Karoo. Yes, we applaud him. It is great. But when you look at the things, this is a political thing. And DA even went to the states to go and report to the FBI to investigate the president of the country. Who does that? That's desperation of all these other political parties. But anyway, we know that politics is just a mafia games. If your mind is not straight and you don't think straight, you can be dribbled. So when you get there,
Yeah,
you know what you're doing.
yeah. What you're saying, it's very interesting now because Gayton Mackenzie got Karoo, which yes, I like the idea of development and
He
raising standards of
volunteered.
living,
He didn't
but
get it. He volunteered to go there.
okay, but it's strange because I feel like they have people who have set him to do this. You know, people who are like, we are ready with resources. Just do this. We will back you up. You know, he's definitely not alone in
Exactly.
this, and these are people we need to watch out for to understand their agenda because now it looks good on books. We want our people to have better living standards and all that, but it's coming at what cost? What is the agenda? What do they
yeah,
want?
Where
that's
were
That's
they
very
all
good.
along?
there's always a force behind most of the time.
Yes. That's why
Yeah,
even now
that's
I
interesting.
understand he has been called on order so that he can come and explain to himself. Because as a mayor, is he allowed to go around? Because you cannot tell me that a 3 million that you have raised in a gala dinner, and then you can be able to do all these things that he's doing. 3 million.
No,
No,
no.
it's impossible. And I normally
So
look
the
even, I look at the people who are behind him, those that are not scared of showing their faces. And you could see and read it that, oh no, this actually it's done purposely. Because you must remember, as much as ANC is in power, the economy, South Africa only gained the freedom of speech. But the economically freedom, we don't have it yet. So who is having the economy? Those are the people that are against the black regime. So they want to make sure that they use Mackenzie. Thereafter, Mackenzie
but
can easily tell the people who are following him to vote for DA. Because
but you
sometimes I
see,
get,
That's strategy.
but I blame ANC when it comes to all this domestic mess because I think where they
exactly,
could have avoided it, they should have, but they didn't. You know, like I mean, the issues that we have now, I know at some instances there's like a sabotage. You know, like I honestly believe ESCOM, for example, has been sabotaged, Sasol as well. You know, but the ANC ignorance and their negligence, I mean, has played a role in these things. They could have blocked certain things if they were just not as oblivious as they have been and you know and it's just too much now and the South Africans now the ANC might lose, to be honest, it might win, but the South Africans are not happy and ANC is to be blamed for this. They let this whole entire thing happen.
yeah, they were excited and then they agreed. Anyway, we cannot only blame them, the entire continent, even the West. everywhere. They complain about the corruption. Corruption is everywhere in the world. But with the very same token, when you look at the situation here in South Africa, things can be changed. How can it be changed? ANC, if they can redeem themselves, they still have a chance. Because when you look at what it's happening with PRASA, for the railways to be stripped off, who is buying these materials? Because the Zimbabweans, when they take them, they take it to the scrapyard. Who are those people? There's no black person there. So you can see that it's strategically, it's
Yeah,
politically. They want to make
yeah.
sure that, and the only thing is either definitely we're going on collision on 2024, but thereafter whites, they must just forget, because if it comes to a push, then we will act like these other African countries and make sure that we move them out of here. Because they last time they were coming with this idea that no, Cape Town must be at least a different country and be for the whites. Where? On whose land? If
But I think white people, Pesci, I think white South Africans don't have a chance, to be honest, in the near future, because before the war of Russia and Ukraine, I could have said there's something different today. But what I see here in the next coming 20 years, in the next coming 20 years, we're going to see a true divided world, and white South Africans, they are living on their last days of privilege. I was also looking at the NASA trade, I mean NASPA's stock exchange. They, after South Africa voted to abstain again between Russia and Ukraine, after 2 weeks, NASPAS was actually getting hit hard. NASPAS and Process, NASPAS and Process. NASPAS is one of the largest company in Africa, owned by apparently states, and as I said, the other shares are with the Western. NASPAS owns Process, and Process owns 23% of Tencent. Tencent is a giant tech company in Asia and is the biggest, and so the largest shareholder, the largest shareholder is NASPAS. But through this war, remember they told China to stop buying oil in Russia, and in fact, the same week, Xi Jinping gave a speech and he said, if anyone dares and even try to come for China, we're going to strip them naked and open their bag and put them on the wall of China there.
Exactly.
He went on and started to even trade more, to buy more oil in Russia. That was like making a statement. But in the same week, the NASPAS and Process Stock Exchange, they said they were trying to pull out of Tencent, because Tencent own WeChat. WeChat is like WhatsApp of Asia. So you can see these economic attacks, and it also links to what South Africa, because they were challenging South African stand on abstaining and being member of BRICS. If you look at Rand for the past few weeks, I think it's a month now. Rand has been they've been trying to attack. Yes, they've been trying to attack the Rand, but actually China kept on reducing the what do you call those loans? There's this I forgot the word for it, but China kept reducing the percent of those loans to balance the Rand. So China managed to keep the Rand stable at, I think it was trading with dollar at 15 Rand point 45 cents. So
today
you can,
it was 16 point something.
I think we are 16 Rand now.
Yeah, it's 16 point something today. I'm talking about
Yes.
today. And you know what? When you look at the things, there is a huge shift, and the West doesn't want to accept it. When I lose 20 years ago, when you look who was leading economically, it was Japan for the past 20 years.
Yes.
And then the West took over. You must remember now we are on the 20th year. So automatically there must be a change. And I was looking at the GDP, who is leading on the BRICS. You know that China is on 75%, while we're on 3%, and then it's followed by
Russia.
that. and then
at 10%.
India, yes, and then
10%.
Brazil, and then us on the third percent. So when you look at this, the West is aware that they are going down. There's not gonna be the states that is the first class, whatever. Their infrastructure, it's deteriorating. The people who they take them as their slaves, they are running to Africa. So they are losing everything. They don't have power. That's why it was even easy for them to open their gates for the Ukrainians to come in, because they can see the writing is on the wall now. And now, because they don't want to lose it, that's why they are inviting all these countries, because apparently I think it's Finland and the other one that has joined the NATO yesterday or today. And I was like, yeah, this is serious.
It's time.
But
It's time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the fear of the West, they know that China, it's dangerous when it comes to the nuclear bombs. So it's not
And,
going to
and
be
Russia. Yeah.
yeah. And now what they are trying to do, they want to maneuver and try and approach these other Asian countries to be on their side. And it's
Yeah,
not going to be easy.
Yeah, they asked Japan and South Korea to join as well, and also but Argentina and Iraq, they asked they've submitted their letter to be a member of BRICS, and
Of the
apparently there's
BRICS,
also
yes.
many countries that wants to join. I mean, we are witnessing a shift. I think we're going to end up with two sides of the world. How we're going to trade, I'm not sure, but we are restructuring at the moment. And white South Africans are aware of this. Patience, I
Yes.
like what you mentioned now about the railway infrastructure and the cable grid. It actually never clicked in my mind like how you've put it, but it makes a whole sense and it changes everything for me now. Because I was asking myself, why all of a sudden railway infrastructure, like why all of a sudden our infrastructure has been looted and then our cable theft. And it's so sad because they are using other Africans who supposed to be on code with us to achieve this, but people are desperate, they want to eat. So they are literally stealing this infrastructure to bankrupt South Africa, to create chaos.
Yes, it's purposely and politically. Because whites, they are aware that they are losing power everywhere, even in the white dominated countries. Because basically, when you look at the things, America and Europe, what do they have without South Africa, without Africa, without the Asian countries? Because their goods, where are they manufactured? They are manufactured in China. If you look at the shelves in Walmart, you will be surprised. People are
Yeah, they don't have
already
anything.
starting to starve there. While we are complaining about prices going up, they are starting to starve.
Now
Because
I saw that
they are
2 months ago.
manufactured goods, they come from China.
And apparently China has
Exactly.
got
So
more.
if they are gonna
Yeah, I was gonna say apparently China has got more dollar than even America. China owns more dollar than America now.
yes. So that's why now during the BRICS, they were like, no, we need to change the strategy. Let us not use the dollar on anything. But the other, at the very same time, the other members of the BRICS, they need to be open-minded, because nobody must trust the Xi Jinping, China.
Yeah,
China,
yeah, yeah. He wants to dominate.
exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
the fact that already on BRICS, he's holding 75% of the GDP, the economy. We are already vulnerable, all of us. Even though Russia has got strong nuclear weapons, but it's still not stronger than China. And all
China.
the other members that wants to join. I mean, you look at Argentina, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia, and the rest. They won't be powerful as China. So we need to be very careful as well on that. Yeah, I agree with that.
But I'm impressed with India, because India is aware. India,
Yes,
they are aware of what China is doing.
yes.
So we need to approach this with open minds. But anyways, in this particular juncture, we are focused on the problem that we're having here at home, which is the migrants. That it's a burning issue. And believe you
for
me,
me, they must
Nigerians can make noise, but I think it will be the second time that their government will send the flights to come and pick them up again.
Yeah, but you see, the problem, the thing is, Nigerian government doesn't have a teeth on South African government. They're like, South Africa is like, is monopoly of Nigeria at the moment. So I think we just need to get our house in order and send the people home who needs to leave. I mean, people who are creating problems here don't have to be here. They need to go home. That's it. We don't have to negotiate for that.
And then, those the other people will be like, why are we attacking Zimbabweans rather than they are beside them being in big numbers here? Who are the people who are damaging here?
Yeah, yeah, most of the times. I mean, you look at the people who are always found on cable theft. It's highly them, the people who are found. They mixed with the Basotho in terms of this. What do they call them? These guys who do the illegal mining. Then Mozambicans are crossing.
The Zamazama.
Yes.
Zamazamas. Then Mozambicans are stealing our cars. The cars are crossing the border every day. It's
exactly
bad.
The bombing of the ATMs. And then they will come and be like, no, these ATMs are for standard banking, mentioning all the big four banks, and it's not South Africans. But when you look at Zimbabwe, they can't even hold their dollar because their dollar is as useless. I don't know what are they dollarizing.
Yeah, you see, the problem is at the moment, any company, be it is Western or Asian or South African, at the moment, to keep us alive and to keep us stable, we still need these companies. As long as the system hasn't been ratified completely. So when you bomb these companies, these ATMs saying upsize owned largely by Barclays, it's fine, but you are interrupting our systems. We the ones who gonna have to pay tax for that to be repaired, like to replace the damage that you have done. It's gonna come out of the taxpayers of South Africa, which is largely black South Africans. So you are hating your own kind. There's no such. The systems that are in place now are here to keep us alive, at least for now.
And people don't understand it. It's similar to these things of the farmers. Yes, most of the percentage of the farmland, it's still in the hands of the whites. But when you look at our strategy, how many blacks now are running their own farms? Who are selling in the markets? It's blacks. People don't understand the transferal of the skills. We were not going to be like, okay, you guys put your shovel and your tractors down, we take over, while we don't have a knowledge of this, how to work the soil. It doesn't mean that when you've got land, automatically you'll know how to feed the nation. It doesn't work that way. So they think we are stupid by they'll be like, oh, the land, it's in the hands of the whites. It's only the agricultural part that it's in the hands of the white. And black people are now breaking that wall. We've got a lot of people who are owning big lands at the moment, gradually. So the whites, they are transferring that skills because they make sure that each and every big farm, a small square meter or either hectares must be given to a black person. So can you assist them how to work on this thing so that you can still continue keeping your mind, your farm? People were not strategically in Zimbabwe. They did it abruptly. Now they are left with the land that they can't even own. They are still paying even those farmers that they've chased them away. Automatically, the Zimbabweans are buying their land back from the farmers because they were like, no, we've worked on this land. We need money. We must be paid. And they won the case. So must we go the same route? We are not stupid.
No.
Yeah, okay. Go inside, patient. Zeki, I see you are closing. I'm also leaving. Until
Okay.
next time we meet. It was
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you
fruitful.
so much.
I
Yeah.
was following, listening to you on who's this guy? I think it was during the week, and now on that platform, it's dominated by men. That who is it? Not Tariq. This guy that works with, who has got a platform, and where this night two Niger was there, and you guys were arguing. I was listening to you, Lucy, and I was like, good man, that's my South African person.
Peshi, did you see my email?
Today,
Mm-hmm.
I will check on it. I'll check on it
Okay.
right now. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
respond.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for the platform, Ziki.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye,
Today,
Lucy.
I think Loz is already out.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Speshi. Take care. Okay, everyone. So thank you so much for those of you who tuned in. I want to offer some special thanks to Expressive Music, Margaret. It says Coco, XOXO, maybe Slav, to Lozi, to Peshe, to Mr. Malema, to Menzi, Lydia, Dan Parker, Zupta, Zeni. Thank you so much, and everybody else that I didn't mention by name. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. So I'm going to make sure that you watch everything. If there was any hiccup during the live stream, I'm going to cut it off for you. Okay, so thank you. Much love. Thank you. Okay, let me leave it like that. Okay, thank you guys. Good night, everyone. Good night.